Okay, the White House has officially launched a new feature to their website.
What is it?
And we're all plugged into whitehouse.gov.
I mean, I really am. I really am.
You do be perusing whitehouse.gov. Well, if you are a frequenter on the World Wide Web of the whitehouse.gov, you can now plug into the Media Offender of the Week.
I bet we'll be on that list at some
We
point.
will soon be on that list. And it's with the tagline, the Media Offender of the Week. Trump launched it this past week with the tagline, misleading, biased, exposed. Our first targets were CBS News, the Boston Globe, and the Independent. And the accusation is that the media misrepresented in this first week Trump calling for the execution of lawmakers. Mm-hmm. And the reality of the situation is that Trump literally wrote on Truth Social that their actions, these lawmakers who he was coming against, were, quote, their actions were, quote, punishable by death, and to, quote, hang them, George Washington would. And let's just call into the space, what was it that these lawmakers were even doing?
Okay, so Mark Kelly, senator from Arizona, former astronaut, twin brothers, also an astronaut, former military service person, a veteran, and these other former veterans who are in Congress made this video that spoke to active service military people that said, you actually have a duty not to act upon illegal orders or unlawful orders. And Trump thought that that video was traitorous, was seditious. And he said so and said, Truth Socials? Social? They're not tweets. What are they? So I don't know. True things. And called for the killing of these Congress people and said George Washington would do it. Yeah, we're in bleak times.
And now an extension of his truth is that he is putting this spin on the Media Offender of the Week and pinning it back on the media and these lawmakers for misrepresenting his words online.
Exactly.
As if he didn't just tweet to hang active members of Congress. So we are now truly operating in a space where 2 + 2 = 5, and they're really trying to spell that out for people.
Yeah, I mean, it's very 1984, right? It's like
Orwellian.
Yeah, what you see is not what you see. Like, he tweeted out, we have eyeballs. But Carolyn Levitt, gets on TV and is like, no, he's simply saying that his orders are not unlawful, and to call for service people to not obey the president is traitorous. That is not what they were saying. They were reminding service people of the oath that they took. And I'm sorry, I don't care who you are. You know when what the president is saying is legal or not legal. I mean, we see the calls for all kinds of things just this week, and it really does get the hackles up like, that doesn't sit right with me.
I don't think people really understand the line of legal versus illegal when the active president also incited an insurrection and pardoned all of these people. And now we're here today with the dilemma in Venezuela and what's happening with Pete Hegseth, which is a prime example of people debating right versus wrong, and it's clear as day.
Well, and a lawful order versus unlawful order, because Pete Hegseth called for I don't know if the correct word is bombing, but the attack of a boat in the Caribbean off the coast of Venezuela. And on this particular boat, 2 people survived. There was a second order by Pete Hegseth to his subordinate, as reported by the Washington Post, that there should be no survivors. And Congress people are saying, if that is true, if that second order was given, that is a potential war crime. I mean, in normal times, what would happen is if you're in an assault with an enemy combatant and there are survivors, they are surrendering, they are not a threat, you don't kill them. You take them back, you arrest them, you do whatever. But all of this to say is...
Also, leave them to die in community with one another in the middle of the ocean. No one's going to go and save them.
Well, I mean, the right thing to do would have not been to bomb what they're saying are drug boats. Like, is there no other way to arrest people in the high seas that you think is drug boats? It's unreal.
So was the first act illegal?
This is the thing. All of this is very questionable. Now we are up to over 80 people who have been killed in the Caribbean on these quote unquote drug cartel boats. It is unproven that these boats were carrying drugs. They could be simple fishermen. We literally have no idea because we're committing acts of war with no declaration of war. Congress has to make a declaration of war. The president cannot just say, I'm going to just start bombing motherfuckers.
It all feels like a video game, which is what really scares me. Like when I read and first understood that there were 2 survivors and then there's this order to say, no, let's go after them. Like no bodies can be left behind. It's almost like you took your controller and you started to pan one way and then you pan back and you realize, oh, I didn't shoot 2 more people. Let me just hit those RPGs real quickly. And then I scratch my head and I think, and I know this might sound illogical to some people as a jump, but it's like, especially when it comes to the evangelical church, which has like a grip hold over all of these conservatives, they'll always say like, don't play video games, they're violent, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, why do we like, okay, yeah, video games are violent and video games might predispose people to, not necessarily understand the acts in which they're committing, and it contributes to our desensitized society. But why aren't we actually questioning or condemning actual acts of real violence against human beings that are being shot like they are RPGs in the middle of the sea?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I also made that same leap, to be honest with you, that boomers were telling us don't play video games, don't watch TV, it rots your brain. I mean, I feel like there's a whole generation of older people who have complete brain rot. They believe whatever comes out of Trump's mouth and whoever Trump has deputized to lie on his behalf. And honestly, like back in March of this year, we saw how dangerous Pete Hegseth can be. Do you remember Signalgate? Do you remember back in March where there was, back in March, Pete Hegseth ordered a strike on Houthi rebels in Yemen. He ordered this strike, but it came out that a person that works alongside of him had created this chat in Signal, the encryption app. And in the app, they're talking about the impending attack in Yemen. They accidentally added a reporter to the Signal chat. So the reporter is seeing all of this happening, okay?
And not saying anything.
Not saying anything, just taking it all in, taking screenshots, doing what he's supposed to do. And you find out that there are people who don't even have clearance in this Signal chat. Pete Hegseth's brother-in-law is in this.
And it's not by a mistake. He's in there because it's like, you get to see me play out war crimes elsewhere.
Exactly. So that blip, I mean, when it came out in March, it was a huge thing. And then it just went away. Like, people in Congress on the left were like, this is dangerous. Like, he's, clearly he doesn't even understand protocol. How did a reporter get in here? How did your family members get in the Signal? There ended up being a second Signal chat in which his wife was in. He's a dangerous person. He's a bigot. He doesn't believe that women are strong enough or intelligent enough to be working or to be enlisted in the military. He's gone head to head with Tammy Duckworth, a congresswoman from Hawaii who is a amputee who lost her legs in war.
Do you know his resume? He worked at Guantanamo Bay. He went to Princeton. During his time at Princeton, he was like a part of some journal there, a conservative journal that I think he was the editor-in-chief of. At that time, it was 2001. Halle Berry was the first Black actress to win Best Actress at the Academy Awards for Monster Ball. Still the only actress today, only Black actress to have that award. He criticized Halle Berry for accepting her Oscar on, quote, on behalf of an entire race. He picked a bone with that. And then he also wrote that homosexuality is immoral. So these are truly terrible pop culture takes with someone who clearly has zero gay friends.
Oh, no. Well, he does not like gay people. Well, and just to tie up like how terrible he was, when he was tapped to be the defense secretary, now the secretary of war, because, you know, he officially changed the department, his own mother came out and said that he wasn't qualified. You know, and she has now since, you know, retracted that statement. But yeah, he is truly a terrible man. And we are a country so adrift that I mean, you and I text constantly, and we're just constantly aghast at what's happening. And we both feel extremely powerless. I have to imagine every American who gives a shit feels really, really powerless. But it just feels like life goes on despite all of the shit that's happening.
Well, it's a joke to them, because another part of this is it's now being questioned on whether he issued the second attack. He and Trump are denying that. People in their camps are denying that.
Yeah, they called it a fabrication and derogatory.
But then meanwhile, he's tweeting with war propaganda with childhood characters we're familiar with. Franklin the Turtle, he tweets, "For your Christmas wish list." And it's a doctored up image of Franklin the Turtle titled "Franklin Targets Narco Terrorists." And it's Franklin with a bazooka shooting out into the water. And I'm just like, how are you at the same time simultaneously denying what you did and then making jokes of it on Twitter? Doesn't that point to your guilt?
But they don't care because they have the mentality of Sheree from Real Housewives of Atlanta. Who's going to check me, boo? Who's going to check me? So far, they've been able to do some of the most horrendous shit this year. Going back to the White House page, the video that I originally sent you was that the smell of deportations or something like that deportation feeling. And it's a video of people, you know, crying out for help, being aggressively deported, crying. And the White House is like, love a cup of that deportation in the morning. It's fucking disgusting. I mean, we talked about it a little bit. Also, the first most egregious act that I saw on the whitehouse.gov website was the timeline of the East Wing. Remember, it was like, oh, back in 1919, the East Wing, blah, blah, blah. And it just goes on normal. And then you see in 2000 or in 1998, President Clinton with Monica Lewinsky. And then you see Hunter Biden in a tub, you know, high.
And he still looked good.
Still looked fucking hot.
Still looked hot.
It is insane. And it's one of these things where like 100% of my brain realizes that this is disgusting and terrible. But like part of that 100% of my brain is like, if the left could tap into something like this on social media, maybe it would rewire some of these bros' brains. You know what I mean? It's because some of these bros who are like supporting this shit, they just want to feel like a winner. And that is what Trump is tapping into for them.
Well, on a completely unserious note, I want Franklin, the Bernstein Bears, all of my childhood favorites to be left out of wartime propaganda and not be holding bazookas shooting at innocent people in the water. However, if Republicans absolutely must use some of my childhood characters as propaganda, I think that there are a few that would warrant themselves as Republicans. One being Courtney Grippling from As Told by Ginger. She gives full Tommy Lauren energy. Eddie from Ed, Ed, and Eddie, he's giving like Napoleonic tyrant energy. That's small. Him being the smallest in the bunch while his friends tower above him. They definitely got girls. He became an incel. So I think that he's safe to use. And then I just want to remind us all that Batman is a billionaire vigilante who beats up working class individuals.
Well, this is not from my childhood per se, but it was during my cognizant of Nickelodeon times. I definitely think Angelica from Rugrats.
She was close. She was close.
She has the MAGA makeover today.
She's giving Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Definitely. She had that doll, Cynthia, with the crazy hair. Do you remember it had like 3 hairs? She's had a MAGA makeover today. I will just say...
Actually, you know who Angelica gives?
Who?
Kellyanne Conway.
Oh, a throwback. An oldie but goodie.
Yes.
Both oldies but goodies.
Okay, and then now back on a serious note, I just want to say that the reason why Venezuela is even being targeted, because I had to look into this, I was like, what is this all about? Like, drug cartels are everywhere, and Venezuela isn't like the first country that comes to mind that I've ever known to be like a big pipeline into drugs in America. Like,
and they're not even the closest to us.
I mean, I don't want to perpetuate a narrative of Mexico or Colombia or Cuba, whatever, but like just have never heard of Venezuela being in the mix. Mm-hmm. Come to find out that Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserves in the world, 300 billion barrels. Mm-hmm. They have 300 billion barrels of oil.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's WMDs all over again. You can just never trust capitalism to not capitalism. We will kill people. We will maim people. We will disappear people in the name of resources. And I have no doubt that that's what's happening in Venezuela.
And the truth is, what we need to be telling the American people is, we're all going to run out of oil one day. Yeah, they might have 300 billion barrels. I don't know how much that like lasts for all of us or how long that keeps us going with our cars and everything that demands of this resource. But at the end of the day, it's a resource that's in depletion.
I mean, it's finite. Yeah, it's not gonna... We only had so many dinosaurs that died millions of years ago that then turned into oil.
Fossil fuels are insane. Like, when you really think... Like, it's really hard to understand that it's just like, this is energy. Like, fossil fuels, they're energy from things that were once living that are now dead. We burn their fuel off. Like... Is it not all crazy to you?
I mean, it's crustaceans from literally millions and millions and millions of years ago.
Like, every time I go back to make sure that I truly understand what it is, I'm gagged and gooped all over again.
When you're a child and you like hear the term fossil fuels batted around, and then you put together
me at 18 in college, people fighting for fighting to distance themselves, or what is it called, like divest from fossil fuels.
Oh yeah,
I was like, I don't know what that means.
And then you put it together that it's literal fossil fuels.
It's crazy.
One thing that I want to bring into the space before we finish our talk about Venezuela is, do you remember a couple of months ago that Trump was making yet another push to win the Nobel Peace Prize?
No.
Okay.
But like with his inflated sense of ego that everything that just came out of your mouth does not sound like a surprise.
Okay. Well, Obama actually does have a Nobel Peace Prize. I don't think that his is deserved at all.
Why? What is it for?
I don't remember.
Okay.
But it was something that he okay, what I'll say is...
I assume most sitting presidents just get one as like...
They don't.
They don't?
They don't.
Okay.
No. The reason why I don't think it was deserved, it was too early into his presidency for him to have accomplished the thing that they said that he accomplished. But Trump... Since his first time at the presidency, he has been vying for a Nobel Peace Prize. Like, the least peaceful person you know vying for a Nobel Peace Prize is so fucking crazy.
Yes.
But the Nobel Peace Prize ended up going to a woman who was running for the presidency of Venezuela.
Okay.
Okay. This woman, though, I won't call her a Trump supporter, but she is a Trump acquiescer. Like, she has agreed to the fact, if she takes office, by the way, she won the presidency, but she's in exile.
What do you mean?
She's in exile because her life is in danger. And so
Okay.
she won the popular vote, but she's not actually sitting as president. She won the Nobel Peace Prize, but she has promised to do some of the things that Trump wants, such as give up some of that oil. So it's one of those things where it's like really, really complicated.
Why did she win the Nobel Peace Prize then?
Because it's really, really complicated because she, on one hand, is quite the humanitarian. The sitting president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, is considered a dictator, is considered, a despot. And she has more humanitarian policies. She wants, more of a democratic socialist style of rule. But it is interesting. It's very complicated. She does believe that acquiescing to Trump will overall help Venezuelans. So I don't know.
Well, is that not the truth when America's the global superpower that it is?
I don't think anyone should be bullied out of their resources.
I don't disagree with that. But in terms of her trying to help her people in the here and now.
Yeah, I think it's really complicated.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I want to give her some grace on how that has to be processed. Because I don't know her politics, but it sounds like.
Absolutely. And I do think that, it's one of those things you and I often talk about where there are extremes on the left and extremes on the right, and they're often worried about the wrong things. I think people on the far left would say, no, this is our country. Imagine us going into the U.S. and being like, I want that. We would not be fucking having that as U.S. citizens, right? So I think that like your gut instinct as a person who comes from an individualistic country is like, yeah, no, they shouldn't. But I think that she's coming from it from a practical standpoint.
Also, Trump abruptly declared that the U.S. airspace is closing in entirety over Venezuela. And now Venezuelans are basically oscillating between locking themselves indoors because they think that there's an impending threat, which they're very much...
Sounds like it is. Yeah.
Sounds like that's the case. And then operating the next day in like crazy frenzies of like markets discounting everything, selling everything at a discounted rate, people out and about, because then it's like this frenzied, capitalistic, like, let me just like try to maintain life, but also like, let me make sure that I have enough resources if I have to go back in. And it just the pendulum keeps swinging back and forth.
Yeah. It is, they're in a state of panic for good reason. But I honestly, Brian, I know people think that I'm reactionary. I don't think that we're too far off from that. I really do.
That's what I was going to bring into the space. I totally agree.
Yeah. I just think that there's so much unpredictability.
Both within this country, but also how many countries does it take that we have wronged to band together and deservedly say, we're going to fight back?
Exactly. We have a target on our backs. Trump likes to use this term, the enemy within, like about his own citizens, I believe him. When someone shows you who you are, believe them. And I believe that Trump has shown himself as a hater of American citizens. He hates his own citizens. He has just this week announced that if you are here legally from Afghanistan, that he is going to review your asylum case and you can be denaturalized. Being denaturalized means that you have gone through the process of becoming naturalized. You are now a naturalized citizen. You are a citizen with all the rights of someone born here. And he's now going to go and be like, JK, after all that time and after all that money and after all the legal rigmarole, because the man who killed those 2 National Guards people in D.C. last week was here on asylum from Afghanistan.
It's such an illogical jump, too, because it's like most mass shootings in America happen at the hands of what? White men? So let's review every white man's mental health.
But instead, he pardons them. Yeah, and I don't think that it is a big leap. And he also said that he is stopping down immigration from, quote, other third world countries. I do not think that it is a leap at all for him to decide that people that he doesn't like who are natural born citizens of this country, considering what you brought into this space about the media bias and having a list, I don't think it's far-fetched for you or I or any other natural born American to fear for their own status in this country. Him making a list is so reminiscent of McCarthyism and, people being on, if you're on the list, you can't work. You are shunned by your neighbors. You can't leave the country. It's really scary.
Yeah, a lot of the retaliation thus far from Trump happens to those who are in political positions, but I'm really curious when it starts to trickle down to artists who are outspoken or to the general public. And I'm talking about people who were very much born here, and there's no question of it.
I mean, ICE has already wrongly snatched up people who were born here. I've seen countless videos of people saying, I was born here. I was born in Evanston, Illinois. I was born in Galveston, Texas, whatever, and being arrested and being released, being detained and being released. I mean, I've seen children. I didn't even know that was legal. I didn't even know. I mean, clearly children can be arrested, for a crime and then their parents show up later. I guess it just never dawned on me that you could just pick a kid up off the street on an immigration violation without their parents being around. And then you don't know where your kid is. They're in some detention facility. I mean, I have kids who have a Spanish last name, who are brown, who, you know what I mean? Like, no one is safe. I'm sorry, no one is safe.
And you sent me a TikTok of ICE raids the other week, and it said, holding space for this, with Defying Gravity playing in the background from Cynthia Erivo, as people are being torn from their families, torn from their communities, etc. And at first I was like, it wasn't registering to me. I was like, what is the sentiment here? Like, why is Defying Gravity playing over these horrific images? Why does it say holding space for this? Like, is it in regards to this is so terrible that we need to like fight back? And then I realized it was from the White House. Mm-hmm. It was posted by the White House.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's that saying
the White House was holding space for their own terrible acts and packaging them as something that should be celebrated.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember the writer's name. I can't believe I can't remember his name, but he coined the term, the cruelty is the point, and during the first Trump administration. And I truly believe that that's the truth for Trump and his cronies. Not only do they want to inflict pain and destruction and retribution upon American citizens and non-American citizens, they want to do it in the most egregious way while they laugh at you.
Even if it's towards their own family members.
Exactly. So this past week, we learned that White House press secretary and MAGA Barbie, Caroline Leavitt, that she herself and her family have been affected by the ICE raids. We found out that her brother is going through a divorce with a immigrant from Brazil, and apparently there's an ongoing custody battle, and the rumor mill is churning that maybe Caroline Leavitt called ICE herself. I mean, and I just don't put anything past these people. Like, imagine your brother is, going through it and you have an opportunity to help him not be going through it. maybe some of us would never think to call ICE. I know I would never think to call ICE. That would never be the path.
I know you haven't watched it yet, but I was recommending to Candace All Her Fault on Peacock. And really, it becomes this series about how people wield their privilege in despicable and disgusting ways. And I think that this is an exemplifier of that.
I agree. I think that she's in a position to help a family member out. And she's like, well, we're doing this immigration crackdown. What's one more immigrant, even if it's the mother of my nephew? It's really disheartening. And I don't know if we'll ever see any justice for the things that this Trump administration is inflicting on Americans. But if there is any justice to be seen, I think that the Nuremberg style trials and the memes and the social media that comes out of it is going to be delicious. And it is the one thing that I pray for.
Well, I was just looking at one of my friend's TikToks, and she was recommending a book that really is illuminating what times we're currently living in and how we are going to look back. And I don't think with much time in between these events, I don't think that this will dawn on us too far out, that there is a clear right and there is a clear wrong on what's happening right now, including people just scrolling past a genocide.
I think that when we think about Nazi Germany, right, we think how did people just go on with their day with this happening in their backyard?
Watch The Zone of Interest.
We're living. You don't even have to watch The Zone of Interest.
We're in it. I mean,
yeah.
The director of that tried to make that very clear and was being silenced by artist communities.
Yeah. I mean, we're living through it, and I don't even think that it's going to take retrospect for us to be like, oh, there was a clear line of right and wrong. We know what's right and wrong today. We're sitting here. People understand when they're watching these clips that this isn't right. And I think there are people who are on the right side of history and there are people on the wrong side of history with their belief systems. But I think the larger problem is that there's no movement towards getting those people who are on the wrong side of history out of government.
Well, it's not even people just in government. It's communities, and specifically white communities. And I was hearing Joy Reid speak about this, about how white poor people, and will hinge upon, and this is very much included in my family, who don't have a lot of resources and vote for these people and don't understand that these people are working against them. My grandmother is somebody who's on Medicare voting for Trump because she's an evangelical. And it's because they rather be white. They rather cling on to being white than cling on to being poor and work with all of the other poor people.
Well, there's a book called Dying of Whiteness that talks exactly about this. And it's about how race is such a defining factor, despite the fact that white supremacists love to talk about the left's identity politics. I'm sorry, white is an identity. When it is consuming everything that you are, it is one that is detrimental to everyone, including you as a white person. I've seen it, I don't have that many white people in my direct family, but I grew up in the South and I've seen this very thing play out. So this is when people tell me oh, we're not fighting, a race struggle. We really need to be fighting a class struggle. I honestly don't think that we can get to the class struggle until people unshackle themselves from making being white a superior identity in their mind. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I've told you this story, but when I used to live in Texas, one time someone broke into my car and I was driving a 2-door Honda Accord, like the sports model. And so when it's a 2-door, you have to let down the seat in order to let someone in. And in the back, it has that window that's like a triangle. Mm-hmm. So someone broke that window, and I couldn't just take it to the dealership for them to fix. They were like, oh, you got to take that to a specialty glass maker. Well, I called a few places. Guy was like, hey, yeah, I can do that for you. Just come on down. It'll take me an hour. So me and my sister, we get in the car. We drive over to the glass place. I was like, hey, I'm the girl that called, about 30 minutes ago. I have the Honda Accord. And he goes, you sounded white on the phone. And me and my sister were just looking at each other. And I was just like,
And
I'm not.
Yes.
You know, I'm not. And he goes, oh yeah, no, I can't fix your window.
You've never told me this story. That's insane.
And I mean, I'm in my 40s. This is not civil rights times. This is not Reconstruction slavery. This was in my 20s.
Did you just register like, I don't feel safe with this man and walk away?
Yeah, I just walked away. I mean, I would never give that. I mean, even if he was just like, well, okay. I mean, I usually wouldn't, but I'll do it. I mean, there's no way I would have ever given that man my business. But I've often heard the sentence, the only color that matters is green, that black and white don't matter. It's green. And I'm like, bullshit. That man denied my money because of my skin color. So I don't believe the whole class struggle. I do think class is a huge thing, but I just think that a lot of people are just holding on to an idea of white supremacy.
Yeah, and this also makes me think of the white people who say, I don't see color.
The ones that go, I don't care if you're red, black, white, or green. It's like, sir, there are no green people.
And
like,
also, like, if you're thinking about an equitable society, you need to see color to see who is not being supported.
Well, these people don't care about equity. They don't believe, they're anti-equity.
Exactly.
So
the world is so crazy that reality TV has officially stopped pretending that politics don't exist. The fourth wall isn't just breaking, it's like pulverized. Cast members on many of the shows that I've been watching, and the two that I want to walk you through are the most recent seasons of both Selling Sunset and The Real Housewives of Orange County. They're calling out each other about their political beliefs on cameras, in confessionals, and even at reunions. And what used to just be kind of like an expose on wealth and behaviors related to privilege are now bubbling up to become politicized.
okay. And why do you think that is? Why are they coming forth with their political beliefs now?
I think that in this world right now, we're so completely divided, and you're seeing that play out on these casts where there are people who do have trans children or trans partners, and you know, people's lives are at stake with politics. And it's no longer that, and I feel this in my own personal life, that you can just have friendships that are surface level. And I think that for many, many years, these shows were about surface level drama, about going out to dinner and fighting about some petty bullshit. But now, because people's lives are on the line in many different ways, it can't be ignored. On Selling Sunset, this really sits with Chriselle Staus, who I think many would say is the beating heart of that show.
Okay.
She is the show's star. In the show's run, she was originally married to Justin Hartley, who was from This Is Us.
Okay.
She then got divorced. Basically, she came in season 1. It was like she was a past soap star. She met her soap star husband, who is now termed primetime television TV star. And their lives were starting to split because she was starting this reality show that was becoming popular on Netflix. But we didn't see the popularity of that play out as the cameras were rolling. Obviously, it was in retrospect. And he had this newfound fame.
Okay.
So people were questioning her about her relationship come season 1. Like, where's your husband?
Oh, okay.
Because like other people's lives felt like they were on full display.
Okay.
And there was something about her life that was so publicly known, i.e. she was married to the Justin Hartley.
Okay.
But he wasn't always the Justin Hartley.
Okay.
That was new for them in their dynamic. He had eclipsed her in fame.
Okay. So was he part of the Selling Sunset show? Like Kanye?
No.
Okay.
Like and that was part of their thing. Like, why isn't he shown?
Okay.
It seems like a part of your life is shut off from this reality program.
And is this the audience saying it or her co-stars?
Her co-stars.
Okay.
Who, like, regardless if it's season 1, season 2, season 3, your co-stars have to act as a good reality TV show is someone's acting as a proxy to the audience.
Yeah.
So there was like this one villain at the time who was very much doing that and questioning her on this.
Okay.
Who's no longer in the mix. But like, I think it is important to understand Chrishell's backstory to know where we currently stand with Chrishell and how she has become such a politicized person.
Okay.
Anyways, she ends up getting a divorce.
Okay.
And that's either going into the second or the third season. And it doesn't come as a surprise because her husband didn't support her. He either thought that this show was beneath him or that this was beneath her, that this was probably going to tarnish his reputation, their reputation. Who's to really say? But she became kind of a free woman after leaving him behind. And what's kind of hilarious is This Is Us has ended or ended years ago. And I would say Chrishell Stoss and Selling Sunset is far more relevant than that show these days.
I don't even know who he is. Like, I can't conjure his face in my head.
Exactly. And I can't tell you their follower count, but I would assume maybe she even has more followers, more fame, more money. So it's just interesting that like early on, it was like he clearly did not want to be part of this.
I mean, this is an aside, but it kind of, he could have ridden the wave of reality TV, which is a legitimate business now. Like, I just think about Lisa Rinna and her husband, right? Like, they were both legitimate actors working in TV. And where I know her husband from the most is like he was doing like, they used to make made for TV movies and he was a heartthrob. And I just think that Lisa Rinna is probably the most famous than she's ever been in her life since now she's on reality TV.
For sure.
And he could have been letting his wife get those reality TV checks, checking in every once in a while. I mean, even Kanye made an appearance or two on the Kardashians.
I think when Selling Sunset started, though, it's in its 9th season, so it was near almost a decade ago.
Yeah, it was not on my radar at all until maybe the last 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, I'm overselling its life cycle. I mean, it probably has been on for like 7-8 years, if that. But still, like, I think reality TV's perception has shifted. And I think it's shifted with social media because the real money is in the creator market, not in an artist market.
Exactly.
So an actor is more hard pressed for funds than Chrishell Stoss and all of her brand deals. But she ends up leaving this man. She ends up starting a relationship with the man who owns the brokerage, Jason Oppenheim. Then they break up because she wants to have kids and he does not.
Okay.
Well, she ends up finding love with a woman.
Okay.
Actually, I take that back. She ends up finding love with someone who's non-binary.
Okay.
Their name being G-Flip.
Okay.
And it's this Australian rocker musician, a total departure from the men she had dated, not just in gender identity, pronouns, but like lifestyle.
Yeah, the vibes are completely different.
The vibes are completely different.
Okay.
And you want to know what? Chrishell used to, I think, want to control a lot of her image. Once she starts dating G, she's like, fuck it. I'm going to be me. I'm going to say what I want. And I'm going to be so unbothered and unshaken by whatever you throw my way.
Okay.
Because my partner is in this with me.
Yeah.
She's no longer dating somebody who doesn't want to be on the show. She's no longer dating her boss who runs the show.
Right.
She's dating someone who stands beside her and doesn't care what they do.
Yeah. And they have like a completely different life.
Yes. And they're both supporting one another.
Okay.
Okay, so this relationship has been going on for a few years. Well, now the cast is no longer all straight.
Okay.
So
because of her.
Because of her.
Okay.
So this is where your identity comes into play. And, your identity is inherently political. I would argue every action we take can be politicized.
Yes.
So you have Chrishell, who is now queer. You also have the introduction of Chelsea in later seasons, who is Black.
Okay.
And these two women, come the season 9 reunion, are on the outskirts with every single person in the cast. And do you think that it's a coincidence that the two people who are on the outskirts of an all white, all straight female cast Actually, I can't say all white. There was the introduction of like a Latina character. There's a Manza who's black. It's just that I think that Chelsea and Chrishell sit in their identities and put it at the forefront of
who they are. Yeah, they're like standing on business for their people.
100%.
Okay.
And at this season reunion, there started to be a rift with the entire cast against Chrishell. And it really started with her previous friendship with this girl named Emma. And the entirety of season 9, they're kikiing, they're good. Literally, the final episode is Chelsea, Chrishell, and Emma going to a dinner together because they're not messing with any of the other girls.
Okay.
So then you're like, how did Emma on this chessboard find herself misaligned from the two people who seem to be consciously the most political?
Okay.
And it's because she starts dating a MAGA boyfriend.
Oh my God.
And people are like, what's the problem? And Chrishell messages back to somebody on an Instagram comment and is like, well, ask Emma about her boyfriend. He's MAGA, he hates pronouns, and he likes to use the N-word.
Oh, shit. Okay. So this is something, from what you're telling me, this is not something that in the early days of reality TV we would have ever seen. Like, they would keep that part of their lives very separately. They're just kikiing about the real or fabricated things that are happening on this show. So we're seeing it spill onto social media, which, for lack of a better word, is reality, right? It's the real reality of reality TV. Okay.
And that's where Chrishell kind of stands on business. She's like, this is the reality. Like, what's happening on social media? Are these people being invested in our lives? Like, I am responding to it with my truth. And they're like, you aired out her dirty laundry, and now she's receiving so much hate.
Well, I'm sorry, clean your dirty laundry. Dump your MAGA boyfriend.
And that's what Chrishell said, and no one stood behind her. The only
wow.
person who tried to justify her actions was Chelsea, but even Chelsea couldn't go too far because she's the black woman who's often been ostracized from the cast for everything from how she dresses, being told that she wears clothes that are questionable, when if you've ever seen how any of these women show up to any showing, they're all in hoochie mama dresses.
Yeah.
Chelsea's no different than them, and actually Chelsea looks the best.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, like you said, I think that what's happening is that people just can't take it anymore, right? They're like, I can't fake the bullshit. You know, this is part of my job, but like, if people are going to ask, like, I'm not going to lie, right? They want to be real. And I think that one of the reasons why this particular person is like, I gotta be real, Chrishell, is probably because she has seen the benefits and the like detriments of not being real because she's in this new relationship. When she was living her heteronormative white relationship with these well-off men, there was no reason to rock the boat, and saw that like rocking the boat could really do like some real damage to her character. Well, the damage to her character is already done, right? Because like now she's living in a queer relationship, and she's like, I'm out and proud. And that means being out and proud.
For sure. And so the reunion happens, and this is where all of this starts to explode, because you have to remember, like I said, none of this was happening or encapsulated in the season. It's post the season dropping, and people then exploring social media, or the months leading up to the season dropping, where all of this is happening in their personal lives. And now it's being analyzed at this final event, which is being filmed filmed in recent weeks. And Chrishell starts defending her position. Everyone leaves the stage and just becomes, we want nothing to do with this. We have to distance ourselves from this narrative, or it's going to be the reason our show implodes. And Chrishell's the one who ends up walking away after that reunion. She said, I'm never coming back.
I mean, You have to know what this feels like, I assume, because I definitely do. We are both people from marginalized communities who have opinions and are not afraid to voice our opinions, whether it be in a corporate setting or in a friendship setting. And so you have to know how it feels to know that you're on the right side of what's happening.
And then you have to fall on the sword.
And people are acting like you're in the fucking wrong. Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, that's privilege.
That's privilege. Damn.
And then, I mean, not to go too long, but this also played out on the most recent season of Real Housewives of Orange County, where Gretchen Rossi came back.
God.
And it's just like all a blast from the past. Like, I just want to set this up. Like, Real Housewives of Orange County is the first Real Housewives franchise ever to air on Bravo. It was in 2006. It's the longest running. There was a vibe shift come season 4 in 2008, because largely up until this point in the prior 3 seasons, it was very documentary-like, of just like following these women around in their everyday lives of Orange County. Like, it didn't hinge upon drama.
Okay.
It didn't hinge upon women fighting with one another.
Okay. It was like, oh, look at this woman and how much money she spends, how big her closet is, the car she drives, the plastic surgery she gets.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And kind of the inner workings of their family dynamics. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't so much like this game of Survivor, which it has become, of who's on top, who's on bottom, and what clique is ruling, et cetera, et cetera. This dynamic really came into play with Tamara Judge and Gretchen Rossi, because when Gretchen hit the scene, Tamara was a little firecracker in her first season. She's a second season veteran at this time when Gretchen comes around, and Gretchen's dating this much older man, this man who's like on his deathbed, and she's this like young, maybe late 20, early 30 something, no kids, and they perceive her to be a sugar baby. And there's this one event where at some point, Gretchen was caught at a bar by Tamara sitting on another man's lap.
Okay.
And she questions her about it. And in addition to questioning her about the man's lap she was sitting on while she's with this older man named Jeff, while Jeff was literally in his deathbed, she goes to Bass Lake. And Tamara questions her at the reunion or in the season and says, "Weren't you at Bass Lake?" Like, basically saying, could you have been caring for this man with all of the right intentions and in the ways that he might have needed if you were partying for 4th of July while he was on his deathbed?
Well, God forbid a woman enjoy her 4th of July when her husband or her boyfriend is elderly. I do not begrudge her a 4th of July celebration at Bass Lake.
Okay, and then in addition to the Bass Lake of it all, I don't know what season it happens. It might have been the following. They have this idea, Tamara and Vicky, to get Gretchen really drunk. And Vicky is who started the show.
Vicky Gunvalson.
And they're like, we're going to get her, quote, naked wasted.
We call it white girl wasted where we come from.
So what they want to do is get her so drunk,
she starts taking off her clothes.
Because they want to show the world her true colors, which to them is...
Okay, so she's presenting herself as like prissy,
yes,
and like conservative,
yes,
and like really like put together and like, but they know her to be an absolute
wild child.
Yes, wild child. And they're like, if we get her drunk enough, this will come out.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll tarnish this like veneer that she has created for herself.
Okay.
Anyways, all that needs to be said is these women, Tamara and Gretchen, are not fans of one another. And Tamara has remained on the show up until its 19th season, which we're
half her
on.
life this woman has been on the show.
Insane. 20 years, essentially, this show has been running. Gretchen left a very long time ago in 2013.
Okay.
She comes back for this latest season as a, quote, friend of, which means you're not a main cast member, but you show up
Oh, you don't get to hold an orange?
You don't get to hold an orange.
Okay.
What your role is you don't have any solo scenes. You still have confessionals, but you show up to all the group events.
I would like to be this.
The friend of role is the best role.
Okay.
And
she finally married Slade Smiley.
they are not married.
Oh. Were they
are
ever
not
married?
No, they're just partners.
Did they have a child?
Yes.
Okay.
They have a child.
Okay.
And Slade is a man who was dating an original housewife season 1 and ended up dating 3 different women on this show. The third one being Gretchen.
Yes.
And he stuck with her. But he's like an honorary housewife. And he's this man that a lot of them perceive to be fame hungry.
Yes.
And has always dated these housewives to remain on this show and in this ecosystem.
Yes.
And he starts to bubble back up. So it's like trauma for both of these women based on the naked waste of it all, based on Slade Smiley being misogynistic and hating some of these women and them thinking that he's a snake and ill-intentioned. It is deeply layered. But what isn't deeply layered is Orange County is a red bubble.
Yes. Orange County, California is a red bubble in Southern California, just south of Los Angeles County. So when I first moved to LA, I lived in Long Beach, which is still LA County, but I think it's the most south or close to being the most south city in LA County before you get to Orange County. And I would have to commute to Orange County for work. And Orange County is like a whole different place. Like going from LA County into Orange County is like going from black and white to color in The Wizard of Oz. Their highways are bigger, their streets are cleaner. I mean, it's the home of Disneyland, Anaheim over there. But it is completely different. And the reason why it's completely different is because it's like the home of white flight. You know, people who were tired of living in an urban environment, in a city environment, they fled to the suburbs of Orange County. You know, you have Irvine, you have Anaheim, you have like some of these, Aliso Viejo, Huntington Beach, that are so pricey. In the 80s and 90s, they became like bastions for rich white people, people who have very Republican values. They might be a little more religious out there. They believe in lower taxes. They want, you know, we all want good schools for our kids, but they want like kind of like a segregation thing happening. And so, yeah, Orange County is not only so different from LA County, it is a hotbed for white supremacist groups. Like there are neo-Nazi groups, there are KKK factions. Yeah, it's crazy.
So now insert one cast member who's also been a part of this legacy for a very long time, Heather Dubrow.
Okay.
Otherwise known as Fancy Pants, and married to Terry Dubrow, who is a famous plastic surgeon who has his own reality television show.
Yeah, Botched, right?
Botched,
yeah.
yes, on E! And they have a child who is trans.
Oh.
And they have a child who is trans who in Orange County felt that discrimination against their identity.
Oh, I did not know that.
And that was the reason they moved to Los Angeles a few years back.
Okay.
So about 2 seasons ago, she was also brought back at some point.
Okay.
She was living in Orange County. They made a huge sale. They have the most money of them all, and it mostly comes from Terry's practice as a plastic surgeon, one of the best plastic surgeons in Los Angeles. That is where he did work out of. And they ended up deciding that they were going to leave Orange County behind and that they were going to relocate their family to Beverly Hills.
Okay.
Now, Heather, some say that she wants to be a Beverly Hills housewife, but more than anything, this move was due to the fact that their family did not gel inside of Orange County anymore. They are very liberal, and there's a trans identity at play.
Yeah, Orange County is extremely conservative. Even, you know, the minorities, the racial minorities that live, that flock to Orange County tend to be from quite conservative communities. They have a huge Korean Christian community. They have, I believe, the largest Vietnamese community outside of Vietnam. And a lot of Vietnamese people who fled communism tend to be very conservative.
So all to say, conservatism in this cast is not rare. It's not unique. And I don't know how it would come as a surprise to anyone.
Right.
But what ends up happening this season is Tamara finds herself on the outs with most of the cast, and it's basically because she's like having a really hard year, but mostly because Gretchen came back, and I think that like Gretchen being back has her spiraling. It also has Gretchen spiraling. Like they both cannot be around one another.
Okay.
Like the trauma is too deep for both of them. Like what happened on reality television between these women all those years ago has never left them.
Okay.
And it's stuck in their crawl. So eventually, as a last ditch effort, I think to get the women against Gretchen, Tamara drudges up all of these tweets and social media posts that Gretchen has liked that are all MAGA, including homophobic and anti-trans. But Heather and some of the other girls, like, not only like is that questionable, but then it gets turned on Tamara. Because it's like, one, why did you choose to sit on this? Because she's saying she knew, but like she didn't want to reveal the information. But then it's also like, are you using this to weaponize Heather's children and where Heather stands politically to make your mark against Gretchen?
Yeah.
Because what's suspicious about this is, Tamara, your husband literally wears an American flag shirt every single episode. So I'm pretty sure there are MAGA voters and MAGA sentiments in your household. So why don't you look within before you start to...
Are other people outright accusing her of being a person who's aligned with MAGA too?
No.
Okay.
But they start... What Tamara doesn't understand during this reunion is she's like, why aren't you all so mad at Gretchen for her posts? Which I do think that the people like Heather are like, no, that's disgusting to like those things, and I'm going to tread carefully. But why are you using this? How are you using this strategically in a way that actually creates more harm for my family?
I love a blonde who thinks she's playing chess, not checkers, because they think that no one can see through them, and everyone can see through them.
That's what it was. Everyone could see through her.
Whoa.
It was very transparent. That's what it is. And I want to clarify. The transparency was, does Tamara really care about these posts?
Yeah. No, she doesn't give a fuck.
I don't think she actually gives a fuck.
She doesn't care.
She might say that she cares.
She's not offended by the fact that Gretchen has liked and reposted these.
She says that she is.
Yeah, but
she's using it as a political weapon.
Yes, to get people on her side.
Yes.
That's it.
So that's where we are at with the state of politics in reality TV, and it's getting messy.